It's the ultimate travel guide from the people who know it best. Weekends with Yankee. We travel north to Lebanon, New Hampshire to visit Poverty Lane Orchards, home of the widely acclaimed Farnum Hill brand of hard cider. This family-run operation was a conventional apple orchard until it started experimenting with cider apple varieties in the 1980s. Today, Poverty Lane Orchards is one of the biggest growers of heirloom and specialty cider apples in the U.S., and its Farnum Hill Ciders have garnered praise from the New York Times and Wine Enthusiast, among others.
My name's Stephen Wood. I grow apples, and incidentally, I make cider from those apples.
So, Stephen, I know we're in an orchard. It looks like an orchard, but this is not a pick-your-own orchard. People are going to come and get their McIntosh and their Cortlands and stuff.
Nope. It's a cider orchard.
So how is it different?
The fruit is different, and the way we harvest it's different. But the varieties in this field are very high in tannins, and they're high in sugars and low in acidity. So these are the varieties that we use for the sort of structural elements of fermented cider.
The structure of wine is often determined by tannins.
It comes from the tannins in the grape skins. The other thing, as you can see, is that we harvest most of this fruit from the ground. We shake it down, and these guys are grading and picking fruit off the ground. You'll see them flick stuff out into the aisle. That's the stuff we don't want in the bins.
So you're shaking the tree, apples come down, you're picking them up off the ground.
Yeah, it's a fairly labor-intensive process, and in France and England, it's mostly done mechanically.
So I'm going to taste this. This is dabbing it?
I'll let you make your own judgment. Yeah, okay. It's one of the workhorses of our... You don't feel compelled to swallow it.
Ooh, yeah. It's like all the sweetness and the bitterness and none of the acidity that makes it yummy.
Right. We grow other apples with very high acidity. Some of these varieties that were actually very good to eat, but very acidic, were beautiful sources of acidity for this stuff.
Right.
So we wound up, by total happenstance, I'd love to say it was by genius, but by total happenstance with a mixture of bittersweet and acidic apples that was not replicated anywhere else in the world.
There's a big cider revival in America in general. I remember reading it's like the fastest growing beverage category in the country.
This exploding industry all had to do with appliness.
Right.
It was and continues to be made mostly from cull dessert fruit, not apples like these grown for the purpose,
right.
But you know what's left over after you've grated your Honeycrisp or your McIntosh or your Gala. Very low-priced apples or apple juice concentrate, but it's miles remote from what we're making.
It smells so good, and even the wood here, it just absorbs that smell of years and years of apple.
Yeah, here comes my wife and partner, Louisa. She's well into this, all of the, particularly the aromatic thing.
My name is Louisa Spencer, and I am co-owner of Poverty Lane Orchards / Farnum Hill Ciders. And I guess if it can be summarized, what I do is try to persuade Americans that fermented cider of distinctive character, which originates in a particular orchard, is highly desirable. That's my job.
You're growing McIntosh, Cortland, all the sort of typical New England varieties that everybody would buy at the supermarket. And now you're growing cider apples. So how did that happen?
We're doing regular grower, packer, shipper of the regular varieties, right? But we did start in the early 80s a grafting trial of all these English and French and American varieties, just wondering whether we could grow them in our very different climates and soils from their place of origin. And we discovered, to our surprise, that out of a couple hundred varieties we tested, that there was a handful that really grew to a very high standard here, maybe in some cases higher than anywhere else we'd seen. And so we decided to plant a little, like, 1,000-tree orchard for a little sideline. We thought it might be just retail, local, wholesale or something.
So when did you make that gamble of like, we're gonna bet the farm's future on cider?
It was really over the next couple of years we started to realize that, at least by our judgment, what we'd been doing was over.
There's no going back.
Right.
Yeah. Are you, like, comparatively one of the larger cider apple growers in the country now?
Well, comparatively, yes. We were the largest for a very long time, but we have the irony of having achieved regular, long-time, critical acclaim and a very good reputation in the cider industry. But and we've helped a whole lot of people develop very successful cider businesses. We're still tiny and trying to figure out how to make these orchard-based ciders for the prices they need to command in order to be able to use these very specialized apples, how to make them in a large volume profitably.
And how long are you picking through the season? When do you start? When do you finish?
We start in September and we'll finish usually in early November, but it varies by the season.
Yeah.
This is not unskilled labor. These guys are very good at what they do, and we rely very heavily on both the domestic guys who've worked with us for a while, but also the gentlemen from Jamaica who've worked with us for a while, and they're not replaceable.
Well, we're talking about cider a lot, and now I'm getting thirsty. So could we maybe go back to the cider house and taste them?
Sure.
Okay, great.
This way.
Okay.
So you wanted to taste some ciders.
Yeah, this is a stainless tank, where are we in the process here?
This is 2017 crop cider that is ready to go, ready to blend into a finished cider.
Oh, great.
And this is 2016 crop.
I'm guessing the stuff in the barrels can have flavors that it has not yet acquired in
Well, it's actually a lot more elaborate than that. But yes, that's true. But
they're going to taste different.
These things also, though.
We can make anything boring, darling. Don't ask for details.
Every tank has something different in it, and
Right.
most barrels have something different in it. And the barrels are our fine dial turners. These are our bulk blends, but they all get blended together to make the finished ciders.
Oh, okay, great.
So this is a late season last year. It's got a lot of the Dabinet you were watching get harvested. Also got other bittersweets and acid varieties and some golden russet.
So, I mean, I definitely am getting those apple aromas that
Right.
we were talking
You're
about.
getting there's a peach and apricot.
Peach, yeah.
A lot of citrus.
Smells to me like being downwind from some kind of tropical island.
There's like that little tart edge that makes your mouth like feel really, it's juicy.
Yeah.
It's like really juicy.
Yeah,
at
well,
this
it's called
age.
the acid, mouth-watering effect of the acid, and then you get the drying effect of the astringency.
That's a
Okay.
sort of basic bittersweet blend. Would you like to taste
Yes,
the
I'd
barrel?
love to taste the
okay,
barrel.
There,
Okay.
This is 2016 Golden Russet, which is one of our fruit bombs. It's got good, bright, but not strong acidity.
That has like a
It is
kind of
very
a
still.
syrupy quality, not in flavor, but just texture-wise, it almost
Well,
seems
you're
a little more
seeing
viscous.
legs, darling.
Yeah.
I mean, it has nothing like the legs that wine would have, because the
Right.
alcohol is nothing like that high. But yeah, that viscosity is, sort of part of the deal. Cheers. Golden Russet.
What I'm getting is like orange and apricot blossom.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Love
It's
that.
like a spring
Yeah.
day, something like
I mean-
that. There's very much a wine-like quality,
Yeah.
almost like a Pinot
It's
Grigio
wine
quality.
Can't help
making,
it,
darling.
girl. That's
Yeah, I mean, it
You
just
make it like
is.
wine.
And if you look at the molecules in fruit, they overlap massively from fruit to fruit.
Oh, that's so nice. It's just really rich.
It's really nice, and it's all there for you at 7.5% alcohol.
Yeah.
And it's great with food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good with food.
So-
Well, I love the direction
dear.
you're taking your cider, and let's just do a quick cheers. Celebrate
Yep.
Farnum
That's
Hill.
it. Yay.
Thank you.